Wake up, Juju. Time to go to work. All right, can we talk about wake up, I get it, I get it, wake up, I get it, I go with everyone saying I'm up next. It's not my fault that the vocals are gold, that making the haters so upset. My life is a movie, the way that I roll. They saying I'm goofy, but baby, you know I'm making everybody upset. Cause we the best, how we get wrecked, and I know we gonna get bread, we gonna get bread. We gonna get bread, we gonna get bread. We gonna get bread, we gonna get bread.
What's going on, everybody? We have a special episode for you here on Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy. I'm sitting here with the architect of the It universe, whether you're talking about It Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and now It Welcome to Derry, if you're watching. It's such a great show. Sitting here with Andy Muschietti. How we doing, my friend?
Very good, Juju. Thank you for inviting me. I've known you for a while now, but this is a new experience.
You know, I feel like
next level.
Oh, do it. Like we met before this whole thing kind of like kicked off with the podcast and everything, and I feel like the first time we met, like I remember it was at the premiere for Babylon, which to me still to this day an underrated movie. I thought that movie was fantastic, and you know what happened with that movie with the box office, I still kind of like
yeah. Well, I guess it's not a movie for everyone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also, I guess it's also a movie that grows. With a viewing, I still have to watch it again.
Yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed it very much when it came out, but I have friends that is like, you gotta watch it again.
Yeah, it definitely warrants like one of those multiple watches type things. But the thing that sticks with me in that movie the most is the final montage of like film. And if you love film, then that final montage definitely kind of like it grabs you and it gets you. I think it
really comes out of the blue.
It does. Right? Like, it really
Avatar,
does.
Really.
And then when you talk to the director of that movie, he talks about how he kind of put that in last minute, where he had a whole different ending kind of already lined up to go. But I think he put that in like right before they shipped the film off and said, this is what ties the movie together. And I couldn't agree more. I felt like that was what it was. I was having a conversation with some friends the other day just about like the nature of like trying to be the best in creating things, and how Babylon is a perfect example of that. How you get into the show, you try to create as best as you can, and whether you like leave gracefully, get kicked out, or get chewed up and spit out, as long as you've contributed to like the giant thing.
And that's what goes against, bigger audience expectations, I think, because everyone is like, the movies that we're like used to see, it's about like, we present a ensemble of characters that, they have the differences and their struggles and everything, but they converge at the end. They find, they stick together in something, and this is a completely different thing. So it subverts expectations because it's like, it's a story of a bunch of characters that basically separate over the course of the movie, if they were close at all at the beginning. And that's what I think it's challenging at the beginning, but it's a great movie. Yeah,
absolutely. And see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Like we were talking about not just Babylon, but then we got into a conversation about Nope. And it was like a nice, like, 10-minute conversation, but, like, I could just tell you and I just had kindred spirits, like, with our love for movies and just, like, the way our minds work when it comes to this type of thing. So I'm really happy that we were able to kind of develop this, like, kind of relationship that we have and getting you on the show so we could chop it up a lot more, specifically about It Welcome to Derry, because, like I just told you offline, I watched all the episodes, and I'm not going to lie to you, Andy.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one.
How does that feel?
It feels great. I feel like I'm in the Andy circle. It makes me feel very special, and I'm gonna hold on to this until everybody kind of watches it. Then I finally get to talk to it about with people outside of you, But oh my God, I'm not gonna lie, Andy.
Yeah,
you fucked me up. Like you gotta fuck me up. You are
in the best way possible.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
But you and Barbara are some evil sons of bitches. Like you guys really tore me up, especially from. I want to say from the last 3 episodes, but honestly, from episode 5 all the way to the finale, there's just so many lore drops, so many body dropping on the floor. Like the body count definitely reaches like a number that I did not expect it to have. But maybe I should have, because in that first episode, you really hit the ground running with like just killing off all those kids. Can you talk to me about the reaction that you were feeling to the reaction to that moment? Because a lot of people were kind of likening it to the Red Wedding of Game of Thrones.
Right. So I mean, like when we decided to to put that event in the big. Well, at this point, the movie, all the series is out. So if you're watching this, you probably saw the whole
You probably
thing.
saw the
So
whole thing,
we
hopefully.
decided to put that. We knew that it was was a subversion. We knew that it would cause a lot of dismay.
A lot of.
But also we knew that it was one of those things that would potentially kick the audience into leaning forward and because it was something new that doesn't normally happen. And the shock value is like is something aside from it.
Right.
There was an intentional desire to give a sense to the audience that no one in this world is safe. And because we had done it before in the movies with Georgie and with Adrian Mellon and the two, we kind of sort of have to like raise the bar a little bit on this one. And instead of just doing it at the beginning, you would assume that with the death of Maddie, that was our version of the
Georgie.
of that effect of the Georgie thing, but. Surprise, there's something at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and to do it
it's
in
much worse.
The first episode, way worse. Like, as soon as I saw a boy get ripped apart, like in midair and flung across the window, I said, what the actual hell is going on?
So I tell you, that's to your question. I was, we had the expectations that it was going to work, but you never know, especially when you make these decisions like 2 years before the show comes out. And but the reaction was bigger than we expected.
Yeah.
Honestly, like in a positive way,
Yeah.
Because most people reacted positively to it.
Yeah.
And that was the big, I wouldn't say surprise, but it was like it was a pleasant, reaction.
Well, I got to say this. I truly believe, and we can like maybe fact check this, or maybe there's like a Guinness World Record, but I believe you have the highest body count for a child dying in a franchise. And I find that very interesting because usually
I'm not proud of it. Let's leave that very clear.
You have to do what you have to do.
I had to do. It's like
you can't have a show.
It was in the book, okay?
That's what he does. Blame Stephen King. Blame Stephen for this. And and I find this very fascinating because I feel like you have broke the mold in this type of, I don't want to call it a taboo, so to speak, but there is kind of a almost untouchable thing when it comes to horror. When children dying on screen, it's kind of, you don't really see that a lot, right?
I totally understand. Yeah. But there was, I don't. For me, it's all about story and characters, and my love for the book. And the book, the kids as targets of the monster is a staple. It's something that is like in the lore so deep that. We're building with the book, under the arm all the time. Now the raising the bar effect, because there's like the truth is that the scene that we were talking about is not in the book. It's part of of the invention.
Yeah.
But on our other effort is in keeping people interested in this universe. There's a story to be told that is worth watching, and we have to do things that people don't necessarily expect.
Yeah. Well, can you talk? I like what you're saying there about kind of like it's on service of the story, and it's all about the new invention and things that thing, and raising the bar. To raise the bar, obviously this is based off of Stephen King's original novel, which I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah.
And I know that you were in close conversations with Stephen when it comes to developing these new things, like expanding the lore of Pennywise, right? Taking these little nuggets that are in the book and the films and kind of pulling that thread and making more out of it. Can you talk to me about talking with Stephen about these type of things that you were thinking about developing within this show, and what was his reaction to some of the ideas that you had?
So our first conversation regarding this project was I basically pitched him without a lot of details. I pitched him the idea of making a series that goes backwards in time, and it's a story that is based on the interludes of Mike Hanlon. So if for people who know the book, there's like there's three big catastrophic events that are in the wrong direction. I'm going to say them, but the Black Spot, the burning of the Black Spot, the massacre of the Bradley gang, and the explosion of the Easter egg hunt in the Kitchener Iron Works. And it was fascinating. It's part of the that part of the book is injects a lot of mystery in the experience of reading the book, because it's like, Mike Hanlon did so much to figure out what this thing is, and still he at the end of his run, he doesn't have a lot of answers,
Right.
but he has a lot of, as you said, a lot of crumbs of what this creature is and what it's about. The interludes do so much to create mystery and for this experience that for me, this it's an enigma that I want to explore. And it started with my conversations with Bill Skarsgård at the end of it too, were about, we were still like high from doing the second movie, and we were like, wouldn't it be cool to do a origin story of Pennywise?
Yeah.
And because it's such a mystery in the book.
Yeah.
The book is like this guy called Robert Gray, Bob Gray. Who was Bob Gray?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But he's mentioned several times, and it's shrouded in such mystery that just piques your curiosity so much. So I was curious. Bill was curious. We were like, let's do a movie about the origin of Pennywise. How did it become the clown?
Yeah.
And who the hell was Bob Gray in all of this? So that was the first, the first instinct. And then months after, we just we went on our lives, about our lives. Bill went to make movies, and I went to make The Flash. Somewhere around, 2020, I sort of went back to the book and realized that there was so much more. I remember. It's a reminder that, the interludes were this fascinating, foundations for a story that really is a hidden story. There's a hidden story that you can, find or sort of deduct or imagine that is there. So yeah, the curiosity just spin me into, realizing that there's a hidden story there, and then there's something in the book that is said in the book that is said only once, and it's part of the speculations of the losers. And I'm gonna say it because at this point,
Please.
everyone saw episode 8, and we see that how Pennywise scrawls the poster in front of Marge.
Yeah.
Which clearly means that maybe Pennywise, or
He's like
it,
omnipresent,
or he's his experience of time is not linear like a human experience is, so he might be going back in time. Maybe?
Yeah. And can I say something about that really quick? Because you know me, like when I make my videos, when I watch everything, I'm always looking for these little nuggets of things, and I kind of peeped that Pennywise's perception of time is nonlinear. It's probably like omnipresent. He can see everything. And I knew in episode 4, I even made a video where I said Pennywise calls his shot in episode 4, where Pennywise drags Will into the water, and he says, "You'll burn too." Because he knows that the black spot is coming, and we also know the fate of Will as an adult because he's Mike's father. I'm like, this is a double entendre of what Pennywise knows. He's talking about the black spot. He's talking about his eventual death. And it made me go, oh, my God, Pennywise knows what's going to happen before it happens.
I'm very glad that you caught that.
I'm glad I caught it,
For
too.
people who doesn't catch it, maybe episode 8 is like a clear, it's a more precise confirmation of that.
And I will say, when he unveiled that wanted poster of Richie, I was like, oh, my God. It was like I was confirmed, I was validated, and I said, this is a big confirmation of what Pennywise knows. Sorry, Craig, I know this is a spoiler.
It's all good.
But, like, seeing that moment.
Greg, shut up. Don't open your mouth, okay?
But seeing that moment, it gave me one of the biggest, like, I had a lot of holy shit moments, like, while watching this. And so I'm glad that, getting that confirmation and knowing, like, having this mystery of Pennywise unveiled, really, really, really cool stuff. And so funny because I want to get into this one mystery because I feel like Pennywise is such a character that just begs you to ask a lot of questions. And my girlfriend, you know, we're in a long distance relationship. She's in New York, I'm in LA, and we FaceTime all the time. So she's listening to me watch the show a lot, but she never has watched it chapters 1 or 2. She's a big scaredy cat, right? But she knows of the character Pennywise, and even she has questions where she goes, why is this being that like can change into anything is just a clown all the time? Why is he a shapeshifter? Why is this shapeshifter a clown? And it felt in that moment, Mrs. Kirsch appears, right? And you know that she's like, you know, the daughter of Bob Gray. And I kept thinking to myself, Mrs. Kirsch, what do I know that name from? And it was the old lady in It Chapter 1. And
Precisely.
Juju. What I said, when it clicked for me, again, I was like, holy shit. And then she was like, what? I said, we're about to get the reveal for why Pennywise is a clown.
Yeah.
And I now I got to know, and I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I'm experiencing everything like Pennywise is. But in the scene in It Chapter 2, when we see Pennywise as Bob Gray, and he's like kind of like scaring Beverly by like ripping his face and everything, were you already developing It Welcome to Derry? And was that scene kind of like leading into that, or was it like the other way around?
I wasn't developing it. But there was, you know, things that I knew about Bob Gray, or that I at least, you know, we sort of fleshed out about Bob Gray. At that point, when we did It Too, we didn't fully know in detail what Bob Gray's, you know, behavior and personality was. But you can, you know, when we did It Too, that was clearly like the apparition of Bob Gray is clearly influenced or puppeteered by It.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good, you know, description of what the real Bob Gray was. But we banked on that. Bob Gray can be anything, because the Bob Gray that we saw on an episode on chapter 2 was just another manifestation of It.
But how fitting was it that he appeared right after Mrs. Kirsch, right? There's like the tie already kind of happening there.
Yeah, well, we knew that, of course, because in fact, like Mrs. Kirsch, the old lady, clearly says that she's the daughter of this guy who was a clown, and he came from Sweden. And he was part of a traveling circus. But what do you say about the excitement of this crumbs being put together by the audience? It's really that these reactions are really a testament to how important it is to live things for the audience to figure out, to fill the spaces. It's really stimulating when you create, you know, basically a puzzle without all the pieces there, and that applies for all storytelling in general, be it a movie, a book, or a series. And the book is very clear, because you know the pieces of the puzzle that Stephen King does not put, you know, for you to see, is part of what makes it such an amazing experience, because your mind is stimulated with that vacuum. And I knew this when we started the series, but now I confirm it, and I see it came to a different level, because people are so excited about, you know, filling the gaps. And again, that applies to every single story or movie that you could possibly film and show an audience.
Right.
You know, it's a trope also. You know, some films are all like everything is spoon-fed and digested, and that's the bad writing, that's the bad filming. But so many movies that are considered good movies are still like basically covering every base, and spoon-feeding you everything that you need to know. And what we're doing here is a little more on the other side, which is basically letting people fill the gaps.
Yeah, you know, one of my favorite things about, because it's very true what you're saying, because in It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, I went down a rabbit hole of just kind of like learning about Pennywise and like his relationship to Matron the Turtle and like his place in the Dark Tower. I even did a video where I talked about all of Pennywise's and Derry's appearances in other Stephen King novels and how they relate to each other. It's like so much lore and it's so rich, and there's just so much to uncover when it comes to this creature and this entity and like his place in the Stephen King universe, the macroverse, if you will. So, but what I was really into, and I found that this was like a seamless blend from like me freaking out over Mrs. Kirsch and her relationship with Ronnie's father and like the time period of what's happening there, where, you know, the central kind of like external conflict is Ronnie's father. Did he kill the kids? Did he not? What is he covering up? And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, dude, like, you can't just let these people think that you murdered these children. What did you do that was so bad that you're not fessing up to? And when he made that reveal of he had a relationship with a white woman, a married white woman, as a black man, I went, the consequence of that is arguably way worse than what he's being accused of, right? And it's that perfect blending of the supernatural fears with the societal fears, which is what I think makes it Welcome to Derry so strong. So can you talk to me about kind of like setting this in this time period and putting those themes up against like the supernatural entity of it, and why does that work so well with each other?
Well, you know, Stephen King is in his book. There's like in all of the eras and all the cycles of Pennywise. There's some sort of like, as you say, societal fears, idiosyncrasies of the American culture and the, you know, pitfalls of life in small town America or in America in general. So that is a theme almost in itself. You know, every era has there's groups of people that go through like a terrible ordeal, and it's the fact that, you know, it's very metaphoric. I think that it is a metaphor. The book is a parable of, you know, the weaponization of fear, fear mongering, but also he cannot tell a story without showing the real, you know, reality.
He's really good at that.
Yeah,
really good at that.
He knows people, he knows culture, he knows his history, even from a very, you know, young age. There's very little books of Stephen King that are not only about the supernatural threat, but also about the evils of human behavior. And for us, it was important to, you know, to cover that. We did it in the movies. You know, there's like
Adrian Mellon,
racism, homophobia, everything that Stephen King touches on the book, we do too. And in this case, you know, because it was, you know, stemming from the idea that we're telling a story backwards, and our first step on that journey is 1962. It's like, okay, what was happening in 62 in America? So, you know, segregation was still around.
Yeah, very much so.
Discrimination. We had to basically set up the environment of what was real in America in those days. The Cold War, with the panic of a nuclear attack. It was, you know, it's tragic in so many senses, stimulating from the point of view of drama, because when you have to build a story with new characters, you know, situations like this, you know, sort of give you like the elements of building like a lot of tension. And if you don't know the story, for people who are young or just people who don't know the story, like if you watch Welcome to Derry, you will get a glimpse of what living in America in 1962 was like.
Yeah, and it's another part of it, and a big part of this was the indigenous tribe that was kind of like, you know, the position as protectors of, you know, the town, and, you know, trying to keep Pennywise locked into this cage, which I think is a very interesting part of the lore that a lot of people welcome into this. Because I think a lot of questions people did have was, why doesn't Pennywise just leave Derry? Why is it just trapped into Derry? And so to kind of like tie that into the indigenous population, what they were doing, and how the settlers more or less fucked that up. I found myself saying so many times in this series, these goddamn white people, like they're always messing things up in the past.
That was in a way in the book there is the indigenous population don't really or partake in the Derry thing. They're like a little like of the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no such thing in the book as like a cage,
Mm-hmm.
or even the idea that it is an expanding force.
Right.
It's part of the mystery. Why is Derry it, and why is it Derry, and why does it feed in that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't create a lot of enigmas because it's like, okay, it's hunting ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's where it is. That's where it lives, like any other predator in nature in life in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to go a little further. That's where we created the idea that it was an expanding force, and if it wasn't for the indigenous community, it would have taken over America and possibly the world.
And we saw how ugly that was in the final episode. Like, it was fucking shit up. Like, it was going crazy. And so, like the puppet scene with the principal,
Mm-hmm.
I was yelling at the top of my lungs. I was like, oh my God, he turned him into a puppet. Then he just, oh my God.
It's very grotesque.
A lot of grotesque things. He's going hard.
Very grotesque, but we were having so much fun because, you have 8 hours of story where you can basically explore everything, all the things that it can do
Mm-hmm.
to terrorize kids, to terrorize a community.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, arguably, Principal Dunleavy had it coming.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Yeah.
Arguably,
I would say that.
because he's a principal.
Is he based on a real principal? Did you just kill off your principal from high school?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not in capacity to say that, to reveal that.
We'll say it's not. We'll say it's not right now.
No, but it's yeah. So I think that we were talking about the I don't know how we ended up talking about Dunleavy. Sorry.
Oh no, because I was talking about
to
like how
Yeah.
we talked about how Pennywise, if it wasn't for the indigenous community, how he would have taken over the world, and how crazy we actually saw that was, where he just kind of like ran amok in Derry after going to sleep, like he was asleep. You woke him back up.
Here's the thing. I mean, the indigenous community, like there was nothing that the community could do to stop, the settlers, and they actually went to the fringe of Western Woods to stop them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as you say, as it's, if you see in episode 4, you're gonna, at the end of episode 4, the council, the Mother's Council is discussing the issue, and they say, we told them.
Mm-hmm.
We told them this is bad.
Yeah.
And they didn't hear us.
I mean, but that's kind of like the history of America, right? The people, settlers, colonialism, going where they're not supposed to go, not respecting the laws of the land, the culture of the people, and it inadvertently and sometimes advertently unleashes an evil on those people and everyone around them, and it just kind of becomes a cancer that engulfs everything.
Exactly.
And that's what it represents. It's that force, right?
And that thing, what you just said, is very much present in the work of Stephen King. Across the board, if you read Pet Sematary, which is one of my favorite books, it's so much about the infringements of white people on sacred grounds, and then he creates a story that is like fascinating around it.
It always is. Yeah. It always is. Okay, so I got 2 extra questions on It Welcome to Derry.
Yeah.
And I wrote down a list because, again, this thing is chock filled with things that made me holler, Easter eggs, connections. Like, obviously, we talked about Bob Gray. We talked about the origin of Miss Kirsch. We talked about Richie's mom's reveal. We talked about that. Dick Halloran, a whole character from The Shining, who was always kind of tied to the Hanlon family, becoming a whole character in this. There's so many things that you tied into this, but what was your favorite thing to bring to Welcome to Derry? What was your favorite connection, reference that you were just super excited about?
Man, Dick Halloran obviously a favorite because I want from the moment that Dick is in the book. Dick is in the in the black spot, and even though the black spot in the book is in the 30s, because of the way we built the structure and the years, we had to take it to the 60s, but it made total sense.
It made perfect sense. Arguably even a little bit more so than the 30s, since like civil rights movements and everything like that.
And so we have a Dick Halloran that is a little older than he was in it when he was in the Black Spot, but still we had a great character that he was there. He was giving to us in a tray. Well, this is the if you see it from someone that is making creating a story around it, it's like Dick Halloran. That's a phenomenal character.
Yes.
So that was the connection that I was probably more excited about, along with others, including Ingrid, Bob Gray, Ingrid Kirsch. What was the crone, past? This is another enigma that is in the book that it makes your mind explode. It's like, wait, I need to know.
Hold up.
How did that happen, and why is he incarnating in his daughter to terrorize Beverly? Probably because there's a father-daughter, dynamics
100%.
there
Yes.
that is terrifying.
Daddy's little girl, the whole
Little
thing.
girl,
Yeah.
exactly. So these are unquestionable characters. These are characters that had to be there. Dick Halloran is one of them. He was there in the book. How about Ingrid Kirsch, which only appears as a crone, but Ingrid Kirsch grew up in Derry, right? How did the daughter of Bob Gray, the clown, experienced life in Derry? What did she do? What did she do is one of the great questions for a little girl that wants to see her dad again. But is her dad still her dad, or is it just like the interdimensional monster that
She
just
figured
took
it out
its
a little
shape?
too late.
But on the other hand, it is a trickster. So he would do things like that to basically manipulate you and coerce you into doing like horrible things. So that was very stimulating. It was like, okay, let's use Ingrid as one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And then all the the kids, the lovers, the loser lovers.
The loser lover.
The loser lovers from '89.
I like that name for them.
I think people look to the movies, and some people love these characters so much that they inevitably their ancestors would be in Derry,
of course,
27 years before and 52 years before, 54 years before. So all of this was, stimulating to the point where we had too much story, and we had to basically get rid of some things.
You got to pick and choose.
8 hours.
Yeah.
8 hours of television was not enough. An 8-hour movie was not enough.
Well, that's why you got a couple more seasons coming. So I'm really excited for that. To go further back and everything.
At one point, we had Eddie's mom, Eddie Kasprack's mom.
Oh yeah.
She was an outsider. She would come because there was a point in the genesis of this project where Paul Bunyan was a bigger event. The construction of Paul Bunyan, that is one of the things that Charlotte Hanlon sees when she first goes around. And I was fixated with Paul Bunyan because I was in Bangor doing the research for the movie, for locations and stuff. And I was fascinated by the story of Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan is real.
Yeah.
And there's a statue that they installed in 1959. And people fucking hated it. People in Bangor was so against putting abomination like this, which was pretty much like that, goofy that you have there, which is it was a plastic.
Just talking about my Max from a goofy.
I love that, by the way.
Bucket.
But imagine in 1959 when someone said we're gonna put a fiberglass statue that is 300 feet big and it's full of primary colors. You know,
this will be terrifying in the world of it.
People
I will say it's 20 feet.
20
Jesus
feet.
Christ.
It was this thing, and people hated it, and that stuck with me. And I said, let's create as a backdrop event that not only we're building towards the burning of the Black Spot, which is a big cataclysmic, catastrophic event at the end, but what is the backdrop of an unaltered state in Derry when the movie when the series starts. And so I wanted to make a bigger splash of Paul Bunyan, and one of the characters that we were creating at the beginning was Sonia.
Okay.
She came from Portland. She came from another city, and she's a reporter. And she's like covering, like for a small paper, she's covering the drama of Albanian being built, and people hate it and they're protesting. So she's as an outsider, she comes and sees that there's something wrong.
I always
in
like
Derry.
when outsiders come to Derry.
Yeah.
Because they can feel it, right?
Yeah.
They can't explain it, but they can feel it.
They can feel it. They can feel, there's like disappearing kids and all this thing. And she very fast like switches, and it's like, I gotta cover this story. Why is it's not anyone like thinking about
Nobody's like talking about
the
these
fog.
missing kids. It's
So
the
it was
fog.
about the
It's
fog.
the
So
fog.
of course I'm talking about the character that is not in the series. We had to take her out because there was so much. But with this one, I'm telling you, is that there was so much story.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about Sonia is that she starts as a person that won't actively like denounce what's going on and questioning people about the fog. Why are they? And slowly over the course of the episode, she falls into the fog. And at the end, she becomes like a very complacent member of this community. And eventually she becomes the mom of the mother of Eddie Casper.
Oh my God, that would have been so cool.
That would have been so cool, but there's so many cools.
It's a lot.
We couldn't put all the cools, all the scoops of ice cream that we wanted, we couldn't.
I mean, you had a little bit of your ice cream, I should say, and you ate it too with, like, Will's mother, who kind of comes in as the outsider, and she's one of the first ones to denounce, like, all the negativity and the violence that's happening.
Also,
so I can see what happened there.
They were a little bit overlapping,
the
roles,
You have to choose one, I can see that.
Yeah, and yeah.
Okay, so I got some other questions for you, but final question on It Welcome to Derry, because I know Craig's dying over here with all the spoilers and whatnot. But this season, this piece of work, this beautiful piece of work, has so many scares. And people are saying that Pennywise is going way harder on these kids than he ever did with the losers. And it's hard to disagree, especially in that last episode. Pennywise is going ham, and the scares are so inventive. I got to know what's your favorite scare that you've kind of like filmed in this season, because I could tell you mine. It's the womb scene with Ronnie. That scene scared the ever-loving Christ out of me. It was absolutely insane, but I have to know, what was your favorite scare?
That is among the top, because that was a full creation. I came up with it, and from the beginning, I not only like sort of participated in the creation of the scare in the story, but also the design of it. The design of it was a step by step, and in production, it was like very complicated. It was every shot that you see in this scene is a different technique.
Yeah. I think a lot of that was practical. It looked practical, right?
It's all practical. It's all practical except for the transformation of the mom, which is when she says he's gonna fry. And she's like, you cannot do that practically.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, it's very well done.
Yeah, it looks great.
The pose of that was very good, but most of it is practical, and it was very, very fun to me for me to basically. Structure, of course, like with the amazing help of special effects and everyone, like from production design to costume. But it was fun to basically think of the sequence and sort of understand what we needed for each one. Like, for instance, how do you turn like a sheet, like a bed sheet into a membrane? It was already on my mind. It's like, okay, so you do some kind of like a pasta roller. That is eternal, and then half of it is sheet and half of it is like like whatever latex,
like
skin.
Oof.
But there has to be a transition, and that's a problem that we come. I said, let's do the pasta roll, and everybody's like, but they finally did it in part because they want to trust me, but in part because they kind of thought. Okay, this guy is an idiot, but
let's prove him
still
wrong.
Do it.
We'll test it.
And then every time, every shot involving Ronnie is a different camera angle with a different technique.
Yeah.
She's we put her in a water tank for when the bed is filled with water. But what we were actually doing is like we would descend the platform where Ronnie was, and the water would just rise. But then she was standing and she's swimming on it. So it's like, okay, let's reset and do another thing. So it took us a bunch of days. But talking about that's one of my favorites. I think that the baby The baby, also the mutant baby I love,
baby.
and also there's baby Jesus. If you see closely, you
Oh,
you look.
in the graveyard, right? Was it in the graveyard scene? Or I'm
No,
thinking of the
that
statue?
is Jesus.
It's
You're
Jesus,
right.
his
That's
actual
Jesus
Jesus.
itself.
Baby Jesus.
Jesus turned into stone. But this no, there's another reference to baby Jesus is when at the end of episode 4 when Tanya is telling the story. And
when he comes out of the priest's
of the priest, yeah.
So
the priest is talking about the Son of God because, of course, he's like trying to like intimidate Saskia with the beliefs, and there's like this is the God, and your beliefs are insignificant, and this is like you're gonna meet the Son of God.
I found that very interesting that
Baby
Pennywise
Jesus
takes the form of like the fear of whoever he like appears in front of. And the fear of this indigenous woman is this priest who is opening up the chest and unveiling like baby Jesus. It's the religion of it all, like the conquering of their religion over theirs. I thought that was so interesting, and I thought that was insanely well done.
Well, there is, There's a sub story, a backstory about all of the things, and it's like clearly like the beliefs that are being imposed by settlers. It didn't happen yet, but it will happen. It's a sort of a omen of what we'll do. But the indigenous community knows already that they come with strange new god and strange ideas, and also the pox. And it all manifests. And when the baby Jesus comes out, he's not only like a baby Jesus with its very surrealistic like depiction of baby Jesus, because it's like the crown.
Right.
The crown of thorns, and also the pox.
Yeah,
It's all comes down to Pennywise has this MO where like he just puts all blends a lot of things and to basically terrorize you in the worst possible way.
Yeah, that's fucking terrifying. Okay,
it's very grotesque. But every incarnation, and when I say like the Ronnie is probably my favorite, but also the mutant baby at the beginning because of the sarcasm involved. The humor, the strange humor involved. Everything. Probably I like the ones where Pennywise expresses his twisted sense of humor.
I mean, that's kind of what makes the best like killers in media, right? Like it's the ones who like play with their food. Like that's what made Freddy Krueger such a like scary like villain.
Yeah, but the thing with it is that it's very there's a biological need to do that. It's very supportive.
It's the seasoning. It's
the seasoning.
Yeah.
And Richie says it in Will explains it in episode 5, which is like, I hate to be right. Because Will is the nerd,
of course,
the science nerd, and he knows about what some predators, they basically like, they like when their victims are seasoned and the adrenaline they gave them a particular taste.
A fact I didn't even know, and I was like, that's a terrifying thought.
But it is an eater of faith. It's not an eater of flesh, and that's mentioned once in the book, and that's something I love because season 2 will be a little more about that.
I love it.
There is another vacuum, which is what is really what this guy wants, and it will be basically fleshed out over the course of the next seasons. But why is Pennywise eating? When he attacks the kids, he just takes a chunk of it. He doesn't eat the whole thing.
Yeah, like he doesn't just eat them straight out like he could, but it just
takes a chunk.
Yeah,
and then maybe they disappear. Then they find, like in our movie, we find them all floating, but they're still like there. But they're missing chunks. When he eats watermelon, he just takes like
the part of the underarm,
the armpit.
I think about that all the time.
The heart, the rib cage. It's truly terrifying. But in the book, it happens like that. And the losers in the book, they are like, why does it not eat
the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's when they come to the conclusion that it is not an eater of flesh, it's an eater of faith.
That's heavy.
And he targets kids because they're
more susceptible to feeling.
To imagining things that don't exist, imagination, the power of belief.
I could talk about this all day. Last thing I gotta ask before I move on to my next question outside of it. Is there a Lord of the Rings reference in the last episode? I keep feeling there's a Lord of the Rings reference when it comes to the shard, and then there's the one where all the kids band together to go.
I don't think so.
Okay, okay, good.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
'cause I
think so
kept thinking
because
about-
I love Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like a crazy fan. Of
Okay,
it.
good.
I'm not one of, and certainly I wouldn't put a Lord of the Rings reference to it, even though maybe it's there, and I
Right.
did it. We did it unconsciously.
Well, I was just watching it like just before I came here, and I kept thinking to myself, Lily's turning into a bit of a Smeagol right now when it comes to that shard.
We did, of course, when we were in production, and it's like we were like talking about what's going on with and I was pitching the writers. I was like, I think that this the shard actually like fucks her mind the way that the ring fucks Smeagol, Gollum, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I felt all that, and
it was that now that you mentioned it was part of the conversations, but it's like references that you take from you want to compare.
It's like
you're talking about this thing,
of
and
course.
you're saying like, oh, it's like Chinatown when
Yeah.
John Huston did that or that.
but it's not like we're doing a Lord of the Rings.
No,
thing.
it's
just
not
kinda
a
like
it's not a fan.
it's a
It's not a full reference.
Okay, because when they like all banded together, I just thought of Samwise Gamgee saying like, I may not be able to carry it, but I can carry you, and like they all do it together, and I just thought, I love the power of friendship. I just love it. And
it's
things like
really
that.
it's something so essential.
It's
in,
great.
in stories, as a theme. And I think I love Lord of the Rings, but I feel like 25 years later I want to see them again.
Yeah.
25 now. Well, maybe.
I'm introducing my
not.
daughter to Lord of the Rings right now.
Oh, yeah?
And she's 8 and she's really liking them, and I'm so proud. I love it. She actually asked me if she could learn Elvish, and I said everybody knows Elvish. Like people can learn it. So if you want, you're down. I'm down to learn it with you. So I'm really happy to be going on that journey with her. All right, so I gotta ask you because I don't believe that we've talked about The Flash since I last saw you.
Oh yeah.
And I actually really like The Flash. Like I like The Flash
Me
a
too.
lot,
I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you a little bit about like kind of like the reception that The Flash has got, and like obviously like you're getting another crack at a DC property with The Brave and the Bold. But the thing that I liked about The Flash a lot, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of flack on this online for this opinion, is that I'm an emotional movie watcher, and I feel like the emotional core of The Flash is so strong. Like, I think the emotional core being adapted from the Flashpoint story, how he's just a guy who wants to see his mom again, so he fucks up the whole universe to basically make that happen. I thought that was like extremely well intact. But I feel like when that movie came out, a lot of people just had this like reaction to it where it almost felt like they put on blinders and said, no, the movie's bad. I don't want to like have a conversation about it. I want to know is like, from your perspective, what was that reaction like for you? Like having created something that, as you said, you're happy with, but like the reception overall was not as well received.
Well, I love that movie, and I put a lot of love into it, and I enjoy it a lot when we finish it. And I think it's still I believe that is one of the best things I did as a director. And yeah, of course it was disappointing but I understand the factors that played. Having a crisis with Ezra Miller. That were definitely connected to mental health issues, but could not at that point be expressed by them. So a lot of people, I guess that they just make their own conclusions about what this is, why he was arrested like 3 times in Hawaii. And people, they just jump to conclusions very easy, I think. And there was a deeper, reality that was, about mental health that could not be articulated, I think, in the way that we would have liked to. Yeah. But I think it's, I love that movie, and I think it's like emotionally very powerful. And I did what I wanted because that was like a very emotional journey, and also it's a superhero movie with with big sequences but it's mostly an emotional journey that is about a kid who wants to see his mom. And I in these days you can't like really fight back to haters.
Yeah.
It's like
Trust me, I know.
You
I'm on the
just-
internet.
You can tell, like, you know, you consider everything, consider all the elements, but you know, what can you do?
I mean, there's really not much you can do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like creators and directors, actors, the best you can do is just kind of like make something that you would want to see. And at that point, when you put it out, like I feel like a lot of creators would say it doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to the people who are watching it. Do you feel that way when it comes to The Flash? Like you've kind of like poured yourself into this, and now it's for the people. So I don't know how much attachment you have to it after that, but how's that for you?
Of course, my instinct is like, watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that is my instinct. But every time I say something like this, I get immediately I get like I rather not talk about it because it's like,
Of course.
I feel like I'm whining because I made a movie that people hated it, but I'm not. I'm just saying that, have you watched it?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're basing all your your hate on a publicity crisis that was. But I mean, I don't want to like talk
I don't want to make you
too
like
deep into it, because then the headlines and everything is like I'm saying I'm like announcing to the world that the world should see the Flash. I was like treated unfairly, and I'm not. I'm just like answering questions.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot, and you see it in outlets all the time, and you're like, oh, look at this dramatic like announcement from this actor or director, and it's like not at all. There was no interest in saying this thing. They were just saying how they feel about like when someone asks them a question. So I'm glad that this is a podcast and that the people can see it, and
Of course.
and that it's not a headline, but someone will use this probably.
I tell people all the time, like, either watch the whole podcast or like just stick to the headline, because it's someone on the internet, as I just said, like it just takes a 60-second video for people to think they have like the full scope of like who you are. And so, when it comes to The Flash, I think it's perfectly fair to say, like, I made this thing. I like that I made this thing. I'm still very attached to it, without people being like, oh, well, you're saying, like, we should like it. It's like, no, you're entitled to your opinion, right? Like, I made it. It's yours now.
100%.
Like, feel however you're going to feel.
100%. But, it's if it's for the right reasons.
So, final question of the show, because I can sit here and talk to you all day, and I like that. I like this feeling between us right now. I always ask my guests this question. If you've seen any of my episodes, you know that I like to get to know people based off of like the movies that they watch. But my big question is, what is a movie that changed your brain chemistry, that created the building block to who Andy is? It doesn't even have to be like the one that you reference the most, but just something that kind of like gave you like a real life value that you carry with you.
Yeah, so this is not so something. There are several because I'm old, and it happened many times. Probably until I was like 20, and then nothing ever changed because the imprint was there.
It's
already.
right there.
The curtains fell down, and then there was no more imprint. That's why I'm still doing like the thing.
Still holding on to that one.
But I can tell you, Close Encounters was the one that came first, and I was 4 years old.
Yeah,
I was
that's
4
a
years
great
old, and I experienced like it's one of my first memories in life.
Really?
Yeah, like my parents took me to the drive-in. They did it often. The drive-in, and driving was an incredible experience.
Still haven't been to one.
It was the 70s. You weren't there. You weren't around.
We have one where I was growing up. So I
have one in Paramount.
And we have one in Paramount.
Yeah.
I kept hearing about the one in Paramount, but I just never got the opportunity to go. So like that's kind of one of my bucket list movie things. I just crossed off the Cinespia like Hollywood Forever Cemetery viewing. I just did that for the first time.
That is fantastic. That's the closest you can get. But back in the day, it was like it's a full. It was very popular. The drive-in and
I bet Close Encounters during that time was just next level.
Next level. Well, I was 4, so I didn't know anything.
Oh, so you didn't even clock.
But I just like I was imprinted with this piece of magic, and I think that something started there for me. Something started that I'm still on it.
Still sniffing that high. He's still on it.
Thanking my parents, because the imprint is important, and you don't sometimes parents and children, you don't know what is going to impact them. But this thing just completely like started something on me, which is like my love for movies.
Yeah.
Later on, I can tell you that another like like very important movie for me was The Black Stallion.
Okay.
Black
I don't
Stallion
think I've seen
just
that one.
blew my mind. I was a little older. I was like 6 years old, and I saw it on movie theater, of course, because this was before VHS. Or before we had a VHS at least. This was Argentina, okay, and we like our TV. My TV experiences until 1980 were black and white and a 12-inch screen. That didn't mean anything. That like the
Everybody
magic
had
that
color at
came
that
from
time,
that
yeah.
thing was not too different from going to the driving or watching the movies in full color. But yeah, the Black Stallion just completely like gave me another like infusion of magic that just blew my mind, and I drew a lot.
Yeah.
I still draw. I made a living as a storyboard artist for a long time before starting making movies, but I think the movies are really stirred my passion for drawing, and the Black Stallion is that experience where I came back from seeing it and I tried to draw the whole movie with a 6-year-old.
That's an
skills.
imprint right there. That is an imprint right there.
Imprint.
Oh
and
my
you think that
gosh.
you're gonna do it, and it's like it's like, if you see the doodles are disastrous probably. But it happened again with Superman, where I tried to draw the whole movie, event scene by scene, and probably the one. There were several stages, of course, and then horror came in because there was the one that emotionally also meant a lot to me was the Never Ending Story.
Never Ending Story, banger movie.
1984, and I was 11, and that again, I think it's one of the 3 big experiences that sort of made my heart explode in terms of telling an emotional story.
Yes.
And I think
fantasy on a level I've never seen before up until that point. When I first saw that movie, I have fantasy to a level I have not seen before. Up until that point.
Yeah,
like
and you were born like later, so
92.
92. So there were more things, probably like like
Dark Crystal, things of that sort.
Yeah, but by the time that your brain was already like exploding, which was like 5 or 6 years later, some other movies that were like more sophisticated probably came out, like maybe Jurassic Park or
Jurassic Park was one of them.
But Jurassic Park didn't mean much to me because I had already like been imprinted by the movie, and the movie for me was like Close Encounters, Black Stallion, and the Never Ending Story. And of course, I didn't get into the terror into the horror side of it. Around 6 years old, I every Saturday night we would watch a horror movie in my family, and it wasn't VHS because we still didn't have like.
So that's 6 years old.
6.
Okay, I guess
I was
that's
6. My sister was 8, and I watched movies like Dr. Phibes, Manster, the Omega Man, Fearless Vampire Killers, who again were like this like crazy experiences, very terrifying to me. Also, the idea that horror and humor can live together, like especially in Fearless Vampire Killers. So this created another strand, which is horror. Right? I make horror movies because I had this imprint in me that like created like almost like an addiction, a dependence. And what I felt back in the day watching these movies that were very varied. You had like theatrical release movies, of course, all on my TV that had been released a while ago. But also you had like TV movies like The Night of Scarecrow. There was you really couldn't tell at that point.
Yeah,
like
of
a
course.
6-year-old, you can't really.
A movie's a movie, and you're seeing it. Yeah.
Separate like one that a movie with Charlton Heston that was released on Technicolor on whatever format, or a movie that was made for TV. I would just like stand in front of the TV on Saturday night and watch what was there.
Yeah.
And all the ones that I mentioned, but there were a lot of others.
Yeah.
But this last bunch that I told you were like very, very important to me as well.
I love that, man. I feel like
I had like a bunch of horror movies, horror and comedy, and the emotional movies. That's why that really meant a lot to me, and that's why I like to make people cry.
Yeah, well, you do that, and you can we like really quickly going back into the Welcome to Derry. Craig, take off your headphones, cover your ears, yeah, because I'm trying to save you from one thing at least. Okay,
Ooh.
can everybody in the room right now just like word of silence for Rich? Word of silence.
You
for Rich.
too.
Yep,
You don't know about this.
You don't know about this. Word of silence. Can we get like our heads down? Word of silence for Rich, really quick. Just a little eulogy. All right. Okay.
All right, that was a minute. That was a full minute. We can fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. We'll just edit it to where our heads are down for a full minute.
We can slow it down. Imagine the slowing down.
Yes. I feel like we needed to do that because we didn't talk about him, and I know people are going to be watching this in the comments like, well, what about? I don't want to listen. We gave them their respects, their proper respects.
I think that we love Richie, and I think for. Well, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, well,
keep on spoiling. We'll have
all
Richie,
I'll
but
say
it's
is
still
that
there.
It scratched an
still
itch
there.
for me for that character, and I cried quite a bit. I had to wipe my tears in the car on the way over. So,
Well, that means a lot to me because you're one of the first. You're like kind of the first person that saw this outside of the of the people that made it, and I believed in that scene, and I cry
yeah,
every time we saw this episode. No, we didn't see this episode with an audience, but I saw the episode where we see Richie watching Marge on the hallway for the first time with the Mario Lanza, You'll Never Walk Alone.
Yep.
And it's so emotional to me.
Yeah.
Those moments mean a lot to me. I of course I remember when your first love and your first connections with other people at a young age, they are so ingrained, and the memory of those emotions are so ingrained. That's why I think that the movies kind of work because I try to basically bring those emotions to the screen.
It's an equal parts coming of age like film. And it's
Yeah.
it is those moments that I feel like elevate it from just your pure horror. Yes, it has those moments of like it's cruel gruesomeness, like Pennywise has no problem like chewing on somebody's hand and then waving at somebody with it, right? But it's those moments like in the creek, or those moments of like New Kids on the Block and them just kind of like being together and being friends. I recently watched chapter 2 like right before Halloween, and the scene that I just started uncontrollably tearing up at was that final letter from Stan, and it cuts to all the losers on their bikes together.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize this is more than just your typical horror. Like, it's all those things wrapped into one. And that's what I feel like is the best part about kind of like now this It franchise, this It universe. And bringing up another thing from this, when, we say goodbye to this character, I noticed a certain musical cue called Stan's Letter in that moment. And so during that scene, I started tearing up more because I was like kind of connecting those scenes together, right? And it just like really hit me in a very emotional way.
Yeah,
So-
well, like Ben Wolfish, who's been my collaborator in the last 3. He did It 2, The Flash, and also this is our 4th collaboration. And he's not just a great composer that has like always like trying to get the heart of the story into people's hearts with the help of beautiful music, but also very smart in terms of the themes, how like he almost subliminally tie themes from the movies into the show. Also, there's a rationale about the song, the score in this series, which is like everything is sort of a prototype of what the theme will be in the movies.
Right.
And
I felt that.
it's curious because it's like, okay, so there's a version of Beverly's theme, there's a version of Stan's Letter, there's a version of the Losers thing, there's a proto version of 27 years.
Really?
Yes. Which is actually in episode 2 when Luella and Hank. Well, Luella sees the cops through the window, Hank's mom, and just before that, the scene post opening, it starts in the trees, just like chapter one,
Mm-hmm.
and what seems to be a very quiet and peaceful suburb turns into the building,
Mm-hmm.
the building where the Grogans live,
Right.
which is it's on the outskirts of town, and it's like basically where the African American community lives,
Mm-hmm.
So that misdirection, because it starts with the music, the score of
Mm-hmm.
that is a proto version of 27 years,
Yeah.
which is for people who know, the score is the beautiful song that Ben composed for the opening of it.
Yeah.
One. So there's a lot of head, but there's a lot of heart in it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is making my
Yeah.
geek brain just like nerd out really quick. And you don't have to answer this. I just want to let you know that I clocked it. The way the opening theme gets eerier with every episode, that rocked me. Like
Glad
when I
that you
first heard
noticed.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it definitely rocked me. I was like, is it getting scarier or is it just me with every episode?
I know, yeah, because there's a little difference, which is, as you say, in episode 2. Well, episode 1 doesn't have the credit sequence because
Right.
it's like,
Right.
the metal, I don't know, metal sign that comes out of the water,
Yeah.
all like dripping. On episode 2, there's a proper opening, credit sequence that we all know what it is, with Patience and Prudence, Prudence and Patience singing a ribbon, Smile on a Ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, I wanted to have the episode 2 with that with a clean song, and it's clean all the way.
Super squeaky.
Episode 3 is like every time we go into like worse and worse situations, there's like a little bit of a score that just creates a little dissonance with the song.
Gets me. It gets me, especially when it gets to the
Well, I'm glad that
the Easter explosion, because I feel it feels weird to say, but it's my favorite disaster, I guess, because it creates because like in chapter 1, there's like the headless kid that chases like Ben around, and that's one of my favorite scares in it. The egg boy, and that just gets me. And then he makes a cameo appearance in the Black Spot episode, which I was like, oh,
You're paying attention. You're paying attention,
I'm paying attention, man. I saw the egg boy. I was like, oh my God. So, when I realized that intro was going backwards, right, of all the disastrous moments, and you see like the bunny, the Easter rabbit, you see like the kid, I'm just like, the fact that it's getting eerier and eerier, it just all comes together in such an awesome way. So yeah,
that's great. And the fact that you bring it up as something that excited you is really rewarding to me, because of course, like when we create these events, we're not fully aware that people will actually be so happy to connect the dots. Of course, we do it for that intention,
right?
People to have that stimulating experience of filling the gaps. But this is the confirmation. And when you talk to me about the headless kid, it's great, because I will never have that experience of doing the dots, like connecting dots, because the dots are already. I read this book like 70 times, so I kind of created these connections, but from a different, from the other side. So it's like, let's see what happens when we put the headless boy here.
Yeah.
But then later we talk about the explosion. And for the people who read the book, people read about the head that appeared on the tree, but they don't know who it really was or what happened to that. And it's never an incarnation, the headless kid. So the fact that it's not in the book means that for the audience is like, that's the kid, the owner of the head that blew away, and that's an incarnation that Pennywise is using for a kid that just read about that event. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, and again, I could talk to you for hours. And
days, I can talk
probably.
To her. I thought we're scratching the surface here.
We'll talk more about this, but dude, thank you so much for.
True. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and thank you guys so much for listening to this spoiler-filled episode to the finale of It, Welcome to Derry. Hopefully you guys have binge-watched the whole thing. If you have, come back to this. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this conversation, what you think about the show. Was it great? Were you scared? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, I'm Juju Green, a.k.a. Straw Hat Goofy, and Can I Be Your Movie Guy?